Hey there, welcome to our AP Legal Zone podcast, brought to you by AP Lawyers. We are your top fix for all weekly law updates, including family, immigration, wills, and estates law. Just a friendly reminder, we are not your lawyers, and everything contained in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not to be construed as legal advice. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can stay connected with any updates and get notified about our new episodes.
Hello, I'm Angela Princewill,
And I'm Sherine Abdi.
and today we're going to be talking about holiday parenting. Yay! No, we kid. Holidays are great. I mean, the holidays are a wonderful time for most families. A lot of people are celebrating. Unfortunately, in the family law space, it's also a lot of time of tension and conflict. And today, Sherine and I want to share our experience with you in hopes that we can help you navigate these next few weeks a little easier. So take it away, Sherine.
Yeah, so obviously with the upcoming holiday, there's a lot of questions surrounding parenting time. Now, our first starting point is if you have a court order or a separation agreement or even a parenting plan that outlines what the arrangements are for the children during, these specific holidays, like that should be your first go-to place. Now, when the event of conflict, sometimes interpretation is a big issue. So, sometimes people might consult with us on how to actually interpret regular parenting time and then it being in addition to holiday parenting time. I think that's a big source of confusion. But ultimately, our first place that we start is if you have a court order or an agreement that's already spelled out, we navigate through kind of what that parenting schedule looks like. Now, in the unfortunate circumstance where there is no immediate, parenting time, or there's nothing written down, there's no signed agreement, there's no agreement in place, and there's no lawyers involved, like our go-to step really is if you can communicate with the other side, it's something we encourage that you guys do early on, especially you don't want to be doing something, a week before parenting, before like the holiday that you're trying to accomplish. But really, we just try to say, put your mind to it earlier, try to communicate what you'd like this year or what you'd like holiday parenting time to be. And the source of conflict, of course, like Angela and I would have to be involved and, hopefully it works out without having to bring it to court. But I think, Angela, you'll agree that like sometimes, it's inevitable if the other party is not open to facilitating parenting time, especially for holidays.
Yeah, but even when crafting the holiday schedule, especially for people that are newly separated, so this is the first time the kids would have two separate homes, and you have to think what matters more to you. So for some people, it might be Christmas morning, right? They want to be there when the kids come down, and they want to see their gifts from Santa and things like that. So if that's what matters to you, then you can negotiate around that. And maybe for the other person, the morning is not that important, but they have family dinners at Christmas, right? So maybe, whichever, split it in a way that at least maybe one person gets something that's important to them, be it the morning or dinner. For some people, they have their family, their Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve or on Boxing Day, or some people don't even care about Christmas at all and are more um, concerned about the New Year. So at the end of the day, I think you really want to think about what matters to you and your family, and you chances are you're not going to want everything. Okay, New Year's Eve, I mean Christmas Eve matters to me. I do have my traditions, so I get it. Christmas morning matters. um well, maybe Christmas dinner if I don't have to be making the dinner. So
So
we have
everything for Angela.
but yeah, but I mean, if I'm negotiating this for myself, I would have to pick which of these things matter the most to me, and yeah, maybe the prospect of not making Christmas dinner would be it. Or for families that are even amicable, well, is it possible to maybe keep Christmas in the same, status quo? So we have people that have just separated this fall. In that case, I mean, one party might not be in the home, but if it's at all possible, then maybe everybody comes together and celebrates in the home just for this year, right? Have Christmas dinner together if you're able to go through a dinner without, making without tensions being too high for the children. But I guess if the focus is on the kids, it's possible, right?
No, absolutely. I honestly, in terms of like Christmas, there's always creative ways to come around solution or holiday parenting time in general. The general rule of thumb, though, is shared. Having some sort of shared holiday time. I very rarely see, the opposite effect in terms of, giving one party primary, parenting time for holidays, unless there's significant parenting concerns, of course. But the
Mhm.
general rule of thumb is that it's shared. And if maybe one holiday means more to you than another holiday, like there's different, solutions that parents come to. But yeah, of course, like if you're in an amicable resolution and or the parties are able to co-parent in a way that they could probably share Christmas on, and have everybody together. Then they probably wouldn't need us most of the time. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't happen as nice as that. But in terms of kind of moving on, in terms of not having a court order or an agreement or any agreement at all, how do you guys rectify the situation? Like, what do you do? If it's early enough, could you explore mediation arbitration? Obviously, it depends on what your agreement is, but would you explore, counsel
If you have
involvement?
a parenting coordinator that maybe if you can reach out to them very quickly. I'm looking at the calendar, Sherine, and today is December 14th. And if one party is refusing holiday parenting time, unfortunately, it might be a little late for you to do anything about Christmas holiday parenting time at this point. And I'm just saying that because of the with if it's litigation, you're that's the option you're going with, right? Obviously, if it's mediation, then or an arbitrator, you might be able to get them on it very quickly. So that's I guess that's one reason. That should be one reason to go with alternate dispute resolution because you can still get an arbitrator very quickly to look at Christmas parenting time. And I know you love like these alternate dispute resolution processes, and this is
I do, because sometimes you're working with more personal, like more flexible timelines in terms of the court, which is obviously a little backlog these days, and it's just a little
a
more
lot
friendly.
backlog.
Yes, I was trying to be a little more polite, but yeah, honestly, it's just more cost efficient and cost effective and more efficient these days. So it makes the most sense for me to use some sort of ADR mechanism to get a resolution. Also, like if you have an agreement that's not being followed, you could bring an urgent motion. Again, given the timeline of these urgent motions, it's really what the court tries to make you stop doing. And really, that's why they're trying to put your minds to these issues way before the holiday parenting time, so that the court is not dealing with unnecessary, urgent motions for parenting time and things
and
like that.
and of course you still have that threshold issue of establishing that of meeting the test of urgency in this scenario. I know for a lot of parents, missing out on a Christmas is major, right? You don't want to lose out on that, but the court may not even think that you've met the test of urgency to in that sense. So, but I like that you talked about shared or even negotiating. So in terms of so those are the holidays themselves, but there's the Christmas break that for 1 or 2 weeks. So I know you had said earlier that the holidays are shared, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret that to think you mean that the entire Christmas 2 week break has to be shared. I think you
Yeah.
specifically meant Christmas. Well, we have the Diwali already, so it doesn't.
Christmas Eve,
I think
Christmas
there's
Day.
Kwanzaa. There's a couple of
Yeah,
other
there's also
holidays.
religious holidays, which is also, I mean, not to drag us off topic, but another common issue that we get is that one party religiously does not celebrate Christmas, so they should not have parenting time. Unfortunately, the court would not agree.
Oh yeah.
Generally, that is not the perception that, regardless if the parent is off, for Christmas holidays, the child is off for Christmas holidays, it makes sense to have holiday parenting time regardless of the fact that you celebrate it or not.
Mhm.
So, don't think just because you're not celebrating a holiday that it doesn't afford the other parent the ability to actually have the children on the holiday just because they don't observe the holiday.
Yeah, good. That's a very good point. So I guess if I'm to summarize what you've been telling us, Sharina, what we've been talking about, it would be well, first start early. So if you're starting now, step one, look at your agreement or your court order if you have one. If there's any confusion, speak to your lawyer, or if you don't have one, come speak to us. Let's take a look at the existing arrangement in place and help you interpret or work out any kinks that might exist. If it's something beyond just an interpretation, or, well, I shouldn't say interpretation issue. If it's something that's not clear on the face of it and we need it to be better interpreted, then we might want to consider, mediation, arbitration, or parenting coordination, depending on what kind of dispute resolution mechanism is in your agreement. If you don't have that, if you don't have an existing arrangement in place, you're saying, well, try to negotiate and negotiate creatively, not just on looking at your rights and whether or not you must get it exactly half of the time or whatever, but just looking at what matters to you and how can you ensure this is a great time for the kids during the holidays. What am I missing?
Honestly, I think you covered everything beautifully.
Awesome. Okay.
Those are the steps, and yeah, I wish everybody a good holiday season, and hopefully you don't have these issues, but if you do, obviously you know where to reach us, and we can, of course, help you out.
All right, guys. Bye for now. Happy holidays.
Thanks for listening and joining us in the AP Legal Zone. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more episodes by searching AP Legal Zone on anywhere you watch podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast today so you can stay connected with any updates and get notified about any new episodes.